Software companies, agency owners, coaches, and consultants, they all pay me $5,000 upfront to fix this one problem. And in this video, I'm gonna be showing you exactly how you can package your offer and your service in a way to where you can charge $5,000 upfront or as a $5,000 a month retainer for your own agency. Now, I can personally remember the first time I was paid $5,000 up front, and I made it in a single day, obviously, and I felt like I was on top of the world. I think it was a little over a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it is the best feeling ever, and I want that for you. So let's hop straight into the video, and let me show you the exact breakdown of how exactly I do this. So this is pretty much how I generate my clients, whether they're software companies for my agency or other agency owners in my consulting group. Hundreds of calls every single year. It's a very predictable and plug and play system. Now, we are going to relieve the pain of sourcing the leads, nurturing the lead sales process, close rate fulfillment, and you end up signing a bunch of clients, okay? So off the bat, in order to charge this amount, you have to have this amount of value. In other words, you have to have some sort of skill set, whether it's in the lead generation space, which most of you guys who watch this channel are running an agency where you offer lead gen services to either local businesses, other businesses that are more established, like on a company level, and they're making more money, whether it's like software or some sort of other sophisticated vertical, or you're just are simply having some sort of an agency where you offer any type of service. I don't know exactly what it is, but it might fall under the reign of lead gen. Now, mind you, this is the exact system that has allowed me to book 60 meetings pretty much every single 30 days. I close at a 30 to 50% close rate, especially with YouTube inbound. And I have a first link right down below for you guys if you want this exact system copy and pasted. And if you want an actual guarantee specifically from me about signing 10 extra high ticket clients every single month for your agency. In other words, I have the plug and play system that I'm gonna be going over in this video, but it's literally implemented for you. If you fill out the first link, see if you're a good fit, we can hop on a strategy call, and this will probably blow up your business before you even know it. Now, mind you, in order to make $5,000 every single day, we have to target some sort of a customer profile that can afford this investment, okay? So my ICP is software companies, okay? I've been doing this for a while now. I specifically target software companies because I know they have cash flow, and more importantly, they have sustained cash flow and established cash flow. So off the bat, before we even get into your offer positioning, we have to understand that the person you're talking to, the person who you're selling to, might just even have you in a bad place off the bat because you're targeting the wrong person. So in my personal experience, when I started off targeting local businesses in terms of lead gen and building out different websites, I'd go on Google Maps and I would essentially just scrape some websites. I'd scrape websites, I'd scrape phone numbers. And in the very beginning, I offered website design. And so I would look up local businesses in my area and I'd say, hey, look, you don't really have a website. Let me do this for you. Or, hey, look, you don't really have this. And so that turned into local business marketing. Okay. And so the funny thing with this is that when you start off in the space, you realize that there's a ceiling of how much you can charge. It's around that 2K a month mark where things start to get very expensive. And if you're not tangibly generating that local business an extra 20K and more revenue, so I'm talking new rev, it's going to be extremely hard for that local business to justify a $2,000 a month retainer. So you might be asking, how the hell am I even going to charge a $5,000 a month retainer? And the first thing I have to tell you is target a demographic with established cash flow, okay? I don't care what vertical, what industry, I don't care what it is, but you have to target a demographic with established cash flow. So a business or a customer that already has established cash flow or specific cash reserves, okay? Now, obviously in the inner circle, which is a type form in the fucking description, excuse my French, like I will tell you exactly who to target, how to target, and what to target, okay? The entire thing, the entire point of me even making that entire program is to have all the leads sourced, everything with nurturing them, showing you the exact sales process, the close rate fulfillment, because you might think that you have the perfect target demographic for your services. But if you're not, effortlessly closing these $5,000 upfront setup fees, or these even $2,000 or $3,000 setup fees, and you're even struggling to justify a $1,000 setup fee to these businesses, you're in some deep water and one of these pillars is messed up. You could be sourcing leads perfectly, right? And that could be great, and this all could be green right here. But guess what? Everything can be green, okay? Like everything could be perfect, but if the nurturing leads is the bottleneck, then it's going to have a domino effect on the sales process, the close rate, and the fulfillment. And so then you might be asking yourself, well, I'm not able to make $5,000 up front or $4,000 up front because my sales process is bad, or because I'm not sourcing the right leads. But in reality, it comes down to your lead nurture process. That was messed up. Or if everything else is correct, so you're nurturing leads properly, you have a great sales process, your close rate is 30 to 40%, you can fulfill well, but off the bat, you're sourcing the wrong leads. In other words, you're targeting a demographic, so a specific group of people who don't have established cash flow, or companies or businesses that don't have that revenue that can really sustain those retainers or upfront fees. Then sourcing leads is the bottleneck, and then everything else cracks. Everything else becomes red, okay? And this is what almost every single agency owner is doing wrong. I speak to 3 to 5 of you guys every single day. Like, I have my inbound funnel laid out for you guys right here. I get 500 to 5,000 views every single 48 hours. Like, if I go to right here. Here's my channel demographics, or my channel analytics, excuse me. And I get around 500 views every 48 hours. So 500 to like 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, just kind of varies depending on where the video's at. But I'm actually bringing on inbound leads into my funnel. And so what the difference between outbound and inbound is, like, the inbound, it's much easier to close because they're warmer prospects and they pretty much pre-qualify themselves. But it's extremely important that when we're doing outbound and we want to make these $5,000 days and these $6,000 days, it's extremely important that off the bat, we're already targeting people who are going to, by default, have enough budget or cash flow for our services. So if I were to tell you, would it be easier to justify a $5K upfront fee to a software company that's making $14 million in revenue, or a local business, so a restaurant, that has about $1 million in revenue? It is much more easy for a software company to predictably have the cash flow than a restaurant. Now, mind you, this is sometimes with business, there are just rules that are unwritten, and there are specific things and specific industries and specific niches that you can just blow up faster in. So the first thing we have to fix, if you're an agency owner struggling with any of these, is how you're sourcing your leads. And you have to take a deep dive into your sourcing leads process and ask yourself, am I paying for a shitty software that's not giving me any leads with a terrible database? And do my leads have proper cash flow to afford my services? That's the first question. Now, the second question is, what makes me different in my nurturing leads process? Do I call them up? How long does that take me per week? So time per week. And so do you see how I'm methodically going through every single pillar in the Create Rev infrastructure is kind of what I call it. My agency is called Create MRR, or CMRR, so Create MRR. And that's just kind of what I've named it. But do you kind of see that the process that I'm having to go through to make sure that every single one of these pillars is good? Because there's a lot more that goes into an agency than just literally saying, hey, I charge $2,000 a month for my services. I'll book you 30 demos or 30 contracts per whatever, okay? So the sales process question you can be asking yourself is not only what makes me different, but how am I nurturing? And like I said before, you guys, my inbound funnel is laid out. It's very transparent. It's the first link right down below for agency owners, and it's the second link if you have a software company or a software business. Because obviously I'm promoting helping agency owners predictably plug and play this system, the Create Rev infrastructure, to sign 10 high-ticket clients every single month, or work with my agency and we do paid ads and cold email and stuff like that. And that's gonna be the second link. So like my inbound funnel is here because I have built up a strong reputation on YouTube, and I'm very transparent about everything that I do here. So respectfully, I'm getting 2 to 5 Typeform submissions per day, and I'd probably say about 80% of those are very, very, very qualified. I'm talking, they say, yes, I have an investment of 5K plus into the program over the next 90 days. I'm doing this with my agency. I've been running it for 3 years, XYZ, okay? So like the inbound infrastructure is so strong because of my personal brand. And this is why I'm able to charge 5K up front. Now, on the flip side, your outbound funnel can be just as strict or just as sustainable and just as solid as your inbound funnel if you do everything correctly. So people pay me $5K to essentially consult and to plug and play the system. But I'll tell you right now, you don't need a personal brand to charge $5K up front. You just need to have every single one of these dominoes in check. So when you do get on the sales call with these prospects, there's no objections. And so in this video, I'm literally showing you, I'm breaking down each pillar step by step. This is like pretty valuable. If I had this 8 months ago, even 6 months ago, I'd be blown out of the water. Because this is exactly what you have to do. These are the types of questions you have to be asking yourself when you are charging these retainers, okay? Or charging this upfront fee, for instance, okay? So packaging fulfillment to a playbook that is copy and paste. In my last video, I talked about how Alex Hormozi packaged Gym Launch as a copy and paste system for gym owners to scale, right? So his contingent guarantee was basically like, if you plug and play this system, log this, do this, track these metrics, and run these ads and spend this amount of ad budget every single day, I guarantee that you will add an additional $100,000 in revenue to your gym in the next 9 months, or your money back, or something like that. That was his contingent guarantee, okay? Obviously, there's a lot of terms to that. You had to do exactly what it said in the contract, but that's totally normal. That's just proper business, okay? So you can tell right here that just the simple fact of packaging your services as an end-to-end solution, as I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, I will do this, I have the playbook, here you go. That is what justifies $5,000 setup fees. Not, hey, we're gonna run cold email, we're gonna send 5,000 cold emails every single day, and you just sound weird, okay? You just sound weird. You're not necessarily selling the desire or the end solution. You're pretty much just selling the mechanism, and it's not working, okay? So with that being said, the questions you have to ask yourself are, one, you should be building on inbound funnel your personal brand anyways. It's 2025. So it's good to have a personal brand. You should start doing that off the rip, okay? I started doing this years ago. But in parallel, you don't have to wait 8 or 9 months for this thing to pop up and start getting you 2 to 5 Typeform submissions every single day, okay? This took me years to get here. You could do this in parallel to this, inbound and outbound. The only tricky thing about outbound is that you have to be on your shit. You have to make sure you are targeting a demographic, an industry, a customer, service, a business that has established revenue and that off the jump, can afford your services. Even better if they have, historical, experience with other agencies. Most software companies have worked with agencies before. Whether they've been good or not is another story. But them just having that IQ of, okay, an agency basically provides me XYZ allows the sales process to run a bit smoother, okay? And so the question you can ask yourself for sourcing leads is, does this demographic have cash flow? Am I going after contractors that are broke or people or real estate agencies that are bringing in a consistent amount of revenue? For nurturing leads, it's okay, well, how am I calling them up? Is the system automated? How long does this take me per week? Is this outsourced? What does this look like? Am I providing value? All this other stuff. The sales process, so how are you nurturing these leads? What does it look like in terms of content assets? This is, again, done in parallel with your inbound funnel. If you already have some YouTube content out on the internet, it's super helpful to send this to your prospects in between the time of them booking the call and showing up to the call. It allows them to get to know you better, see your face in front of the camera, and it builds the authority effect. Now, the question you can ask yourself as your close rate is obviously all of these factors will play into the close rate, okay? And this also just comes down to your script and your offer, okay? So it really comes down to. And your fulfillment is just how good of a job you do, Obviously, no software company was going to want to work with me if I don't book them any demos. They'll churn out in a month or two. But if I set clear expectations and say, okay, hey, look, I'm a lead generation agency. I have a playbook, but it's going to take some ramp up time. Okay, don't expect 50 demos in one day within 48 hours of signing the contract. I'm sorry, that's unrealistic. I can't guarantee that. You know what I mean? Setting expectations is extremely crucial for any business owner. And if you set high expectations and you shoot super high and in reality you don't really think you can deliver and you don't, it's just not going to be good, okay? So people pay me $5,000 to set up the infrastructure. Boom. To set up great rev infrastructure. I do this for software companies and I do this for agency owners. This infrastructure is copy and paste. It's a playbook. It's what I've just been preaching about because I practice what I preach. So I've packaged fulfillment into a playbook here on school.com, which I'll show you guys right now. I've packaged fulfillment into a playbook so you can copy and paste it to sign an additional 10 high-ticket clients every single month for your agency, and that's guaranteed. Now, the crazy thing about this is that all of these pillars, you have to go and methodically spend time fixing. This might take 2 months of fulfillment. This might take, I say 5 calls, maybe your next 5 calls, okay? This might take you 5 months to test out different nurturing sequences, what works best. Your sales process might take you 3 to 6 months to figure out which content assets perform the best and to warm up the temperature of the prospects. Like, all of these different things are thrown up in the air, and it's like you have to catch them all at the same time, or you can just go straight to the end result as an agency owner, and you can just have the copy and paste system, which is what I'm giving you and what I'm providing you. So like I said, it's the first thing right down below. I'm done promoting it though. I just have to keep on telling you that because I know how long I've spent trying to figure this shit out. And it wasn't until I started actually investing money more back into my business and into playbooks and frameworks and consulting and the people who I saw off YouTube. And I was like, you're already doing what I want to do. Just let me pay you. Just get it over with. I don't care. Like, whatever. And so with that being said, it's extremely important that you are taking inventory into your business and you are understanding that packaging your offer into a full solution as a playbook to your clients is going to be the most beneficial thing for you, not only to, what everybody wants to do, collect 5K up front, but in terms of scalability. Because if you have a copy and paste playbook, it's, okay, we onboard you, we sign you a few automations here, there you go. So now it becomes a matter of, I collected the cash, fulfillment becomes very easy. Now I can scale this thing to the moon. Whereas if you didn't have the proper guidance, if you didn't have the proper frameworks, if you didn't have the proper fulfillment, it would be extremely it would just be dizzy. Like, your business would be dizzy because you'd be thinking, okay, well, I know I have a decent sales process that's pulling some weight, but it's not really working. But it's good for now. Nurturing leads is kind of red. I don't really have a proper sales process. I'm taking all the calls manually. I don't really have all this stuff laid out. Okay. That's definitely red. Sourcing leads. Well, I'm targeting a demographic that can't really justify $5,000 price point, no matter how good I am at sales. My offer just isn't really all that in my industry, and people I'm targeting are historically broke. There you go. That's another red right there. My close rate is good for what I'm doing. I have the scripts, so that's okay. I have a sales script, whatever. I've taken hundreds of sales calls. Cool. Fulfillment is good as well. I'm good at what I do, obviously, because I have a skill set, but I'm only signing like 1 client a month instead of 5 to 10 or even 3 to 10, conservatively. I like to just say 10 because this is the easiest. This is the most guaranteed way. So with that being said, you guys, that's the end of the video. I hope this brought some light and shed some light onto the problems that you possibly could be facing in your agency in regards to sourcing the proper leads who can actually justify a $5,000 price point. I have everything pretty much figured out as to how I've been doing this over the past couple of years. Like I said, having your first $5,000 day or just having that on repeat is going to be the best feeling in the world. Waking up to a sales call full of prospects or a sales calendar full of prospects that can afford your service, that are pretty excited to jump in because you have a personal brand or whatever, and that are actually pre-qualified is the best feeling in the world. I'll tell you that right now. I booked in 2 sales calls this morning, a little off topic. I was already in my bed. I booked 2 sales calls and I saw 2 type forms come in overnight. I got the emails and stuff and I booked them on the sales call automatically. Had them, I set up plug-in the SOP, and I was like, wow, I'm freaking really doing this shit. And so it feels really good when everything's figured out. It feels really good once you know that your target demographic can afford your services. With that being said, if you want to learn exactly how to sign your next 10 high ticket clients predictably every single month, not one time, every single month. I want you to fill out that first type form right down below. It's about 4 or 5 questions. I'm going to see if we're a good fit. We'll plan out a strategy call after towards your business, see what your biggest bottleneck is, and hell, if we can clear it, you might be on your way to signing some big ass clients. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Love you.